Welcome to the Revenue Rewired podcast, hosted by StringCan Interactive's visionary CEO, Jay Feitlinger, and no-nonsense COO, Sarah Shepard. We're here to accelerate your revenue and give your marketing purpose. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Revenue Rewired. This is a different kind of episode. It's a little special because it's just me, no Jay this time. So I did think that this episode would be a great opportunity to talk about something our operator listeners might enjoy, and that's AI and rolling it out to your organization. And I'm pretty passionate about this topic because I feel like a lot of the individuals, leaders, even team members that I've spoken to in my friendly organizations and even our clients are really struggling with the rollout of AI and just using it as a tool in general for many reasons. It's overwhelming. They don't know where to start. Their employees are scared. They're waiting for guidance. And all of those reasons are perfectly valid and fair. However, there is the opportunity that you might be missing out on doing something great and finding some simple ways to roll it out into your organization. And we've been working pretty diligently over the last couple of years. We're kind of nerds, and so we love staying on top of some nerdy stuff. We don't do a great job, I think, of sharing it with our clients, and we're trying to get better at that. But, in this episode, I wanted to share 5 somewhat easy steps. I think they're easy, but, that's for you to decide. Easy steps to roll out AI into your agency or your company, because it is really important to figure out how to use this tool. And there are actually some really great benefits. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that. I also do want to share with you a couple of heinous, scary stories and how ChatGPT almost cost me thousands of dollars and probably my business partner's sanity. So let's get into it. I think one of the most fascinating things I saw recently was an article, and it was that like 75% of corporate AI initiatives fail. And it's just that it was never really built to scale, built to work. And there are a couple of really quick fixes, and it really starts from the top. So if I'm going to say step number 1, it sounds so simple, but it's not. It's aligning at the leadership level. If your leadership team isn't on the same page in general about why you're using AI, then your team will never trust how you're going to use it. This is where a lot of companies fail before they start because they're chasing a shiny tool. They don't define the purpose. And visionaries can be pretty guilty of this, which is why, I'm speaking from the integrator perspective, is obviously we dove right in, but it was a very strategic dive into our use of AI inside our organization. So you can ask yourself some questions. Is it time that you're trying to save, margin increase, reduce the amount of busy work, speeding up ideation? I would really consider giving yourself at least a couple of months before you're going to see progress, before you really notice that there's a big change, because you're going to get resistance and the discomfort might need to be normalized. There are a lot of executives I'm hearing, their teams are very fearful of using AI, and for a variety of reasons. They're scared about AI taking over their jobs, not looking like they know what they're doing, looking like they're building a replacement. So I think, making sure that you communicate to your employees as a leadership team what it's being used for, and that the intention is really to help them, help themselves, and to help you get rid of busy work or whatever your initiative is. Just make it super clear. And then step 2 is to write a policy. I know, so boring, awful. Write a policy, but use it. So if you don't tell your team how to use AI, I think it's a little bit dangerous, because they might not ever even use it, because now they have no idea how to use it. And you're putting your business at risk. And so by creating a policy, and what's nice is ChatGPT could actually help you do this, you outline the tools that are approved, what they can be used for, what they can't be used for, and how the data is handled. So you kind of want to have some sort of agreement with, hey, let's not upload financials with everyone's details on it, or let's not use this proprietary information from a client. And making sure that, in this process of communicating to your employees, you are communicating with your clients. Some clients can't have their information in AI, and some have some stipulations. So, making sure that you have a policy is a great way to say, hey, client or customer, we're going to be using AI, and here's our intention for it. Do you have any concerns or questions? Because we're all learning in this together. And so I think the longer you wait for guidance, the further behind you're going to be. Use just some common sense and ethical and moral business practices, and you're just, moving toward the right direction. I definitely include a policy when I onboard and hire new employees. It's also in our client contracts. It's just not optional anymore. It's, risk management and enablement. So step 3 is make it fun. So this is in the middle of the process, but it's probably one of the coolest and most fun steps. Is a couple years ago when ChatGPT really became popular, we decided as an organization to just kind of make this a fun thing. Nobody really knew where to start. In fact, I really struggled with how to even begin using it. I didn't understand the capabilities. It seemed like I could use it for everything and nothing all at once. My first prompt was actually how to build my title or my name for my fantasy football team. But we ended up rolling it out as an organization through monthly AI meetings. It's just about a half an hour where everyone got less than 5 minutes to share a use case, a tip, a tool, and they had to screen share or share some sort of visual representation of what they were using. And the winner got a prize. And that really was the catalyst for the next year. We absorbed, if you think about it, every person on our team was contributing, and therefore we were learning at an exponential rate every month. So on average, I'd say we learned at least one AI tip, tool, technique, trick every single week on average for the last 2 years, which I think has really helped enable our organization to not only use AI, but use it appropriately well and to its best outputs. Um, and I think, finding a way to make it fun really helps overcome any fear. And we're a pretty competitive bunch. So it worked pretty well to get everyone to make sure they were attending those meetings in a productive way. And then step 4, kind of using what you've got. So this might seem obvious, and some of us laugh that AI has been around forever. You've just maybe never noticed it as we currently know it today. So thinking about when Google started fulfilling your search query before you did, there's tons of tools in the marketing space that have been utilizing the technology of AI for quite a while. And a couple of tools have really rolled it out hardcore, like ClickUp. They have an AI add-on, and we've been using that in our project management software, and it's been amazing. I mean, it'll basically auto-create documents for us based upon a template being created, which is so cool. I know Grammarly has it. We're a Google Workspace company, so we've been gifted Gemini, and so there are a lot of tools that are available to you inside your stack. You don't necessarily have to try to figure out access and cost and subscriptions. See if there's something that's offered to you in your tools, like HubSpot Breeze is a good example too. I guarantee there's at least one opportunity for you to use AI in your organization. Even Zoom, how we record these podcasts, have AI enablement attached. So then this brings me to my last point, which is don't turn off your brain. Step 5, leave your brain on. And this is some scary stories about ChatGPT. Lately, I've been using it and I've had to remind it of some of the changes I've made in my approach or my conversation with it. And it'll say, oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. A couple of the scariest stories I had was building out a kind of like a compensation incentive plan a couple years ago. And I gave it a budget and I told it how I wanted to give the point system. And and the performance. And it came back with a list of approaches and examples. And all of those numbers looked really funny to me. I went back and did the math, and it was about $5,000 to $10,000 over budget. And I thought, wow, wait a second here. I gave you a budget. Why didn't you use my budget? Again, it said, oh, I'm so sorry. I messed that up. Like, so if I had just copied and pasted that and shared it with Jay, he would have lost his mind. And I would have been absolutely embarrassed. So human oversight is still really critical. It's really important to use your critical thinking skills. The other one that's great is I had asked ChatGPT to ideate a marketing strategy that I wanted to try out for StringCan and give me a list of tools that I could use and create. And so it came back with this list of tools with a trademark symbol on it. And I said, well, why would you give me a list of tools that already have been trademarked and are in use by other individuals? And it said, oh, I'm sorry. I added the trademark symbol for marketing fluff. I have no idea why it would add something like that. I said, please don't ever add anything legal to any of your outputs. This is like so frightening. All right, so in my final thoughts here, AI just doesn't fail because the tools don't work. It really fails when leadership doesn't lead the whole outcome, the process, the initiative, the strategy. So if you want your team to use AI and you want to roll it out like a total boss, then you have to do these 5 steps. It's one of the critical ways in which you're going to make sure that you can scale and use the tools that are coming, not just the tools that are out there today. And if I can offer you one last like bonus piece of advice is to really start looking at your data. Many organizations are leaning into creating their own custom LLMs, like internal documentation using AI. And it's really dependent upon the quality of their data. And so using any kind of tools, like start getting SOPs in order using AI. I'm going to be sharing a cool Loom video on how we create SOPs using Loom and ChatGPT in minutes. And I think it's just such an awesome tool. I want more people to use it, and I'd love to hear your tips. Jay and I are like super nerds on this stuff. So if you have anything, shoot me a DM on LinkedIn or email us at podcast@stringcaninteractive.com. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in to the Revenue Rewired podcast. Send us your questions to podcast@stringcaninteractive.com and follow us for more insights to drive your business forward.